Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and today I want to talk about relationships. I saw some data recently that I thought was so striking. I'm going to share it in the video description here so you can have a look at it and kind of make your own assessment with it. But what this data was looking at was the relationships that we have over the course of our life in relation to time. How much time do we spend with different relationships over our life? So the first thing it looked at was your relationship with your parents. Obviously, when you're young, you spend a lot of time with your parents. It doesn't speak necessarily to the quality of your relationships because that is a very fluid thing. But when you're young, time spent with your parents is a lot. But then as you age and as you grow up and as you maybe leave home and go and build your own life, your time spent with your parents declines pretty quickly. Time spent with friends tends to peak early on as well. So when we're young, when we start to be school age, that's when we start to spend a lot of time with friends, and our social lives tend to be a big thing in our teens and our 20s and even into our 30s. But then by the time we get into late 30s and 40s, maybe we've had kids, we have a partner, there's different requirements in life, different daily schedules, and time with friends does start to decrease. Time with your partner is also a really impactful one. So you're actually going to spend a lot of time with your partner over the course of your life if you have a partner. Again, this is not about the quality of the relationship, more about the quantity. But choosing a partner that you love spending time with is really beneficial, just with the sheer length of time that most people spend together. But even if you do have a lifelong relationship, at some point one of you is not going to be around anymore. And so later on in life, it's very possible that time with your partner is going to fall off pretty drastically too. Time with your kids, when you're in it, it feels really intense, but your time with your kids from a year standpoint is actually really short. Coworkers, surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, are one of the groups of people that you're going to spend the most time with over the course of your life. Of course, you don't really have coworkers early in life. You're going to spend a lot of time with them in your middle age. And then once you retire, that kind of drops off as well. But what was most interesting to me, what they evaluated as the most important relationship, it's the one that is the longest living, it's the one that happens for the longest time in your life, and it's the relationship that you have with yourself. The time that you spend alone is actually going to be the most time in your life. Now, you can look at that as a little bit sad and depressing because it kind of is in a way, but also it's really interesting because it makes me think of the question, like, how is your relationship with yourself? If the truth of the matter is that you're going to spend more time with yourself than with anybody else in your life, then doesn't that merit a reflection on what that relationship looks like and making sure that that relationship is actually a really strong one? If you're like me, who is still in the throes of taking care of kids and not quite yet, but soon maybe parents, maybe grandparents, taking care of friends, other commitments, things at work, there's always other people to kind of consider and take care of. And it can be a really foreign idea that you need to work on spending time by yourself, or that idea that you get to spend time with yourself feels like a dream and maybe something that you can strive for at some point. It feels almost like a luxury in some ways. But I also think that we forget that this period that we're in, if you're relating to that at all, is a temporary one. And at some point it's going to be quieter, and you are going to need to enjoy your own company. Now, before I get too much into spending too much time alone and make you think that I'm telling you to go live in the woods all by yourself, I'm not saying that. I actually want to have a very important caveat here, is that we as humans are social creatures. We are meant to spend time with other people. Loneliness is actually a really dangerous thing. Loneliness can be as detrimental to your health as smoking and alcohol consumption. As a human, you are meant to be part of a social group or a community. We actually need a support system around us. But what is most important actually is the quality of the relationships you have, both with yourself and other people in your life, and not necessarily the quantity. So what to do about this? First of all, let's talk about the external relationships. So number one is to identify the relationships in your life that you do hold important. Again, focusing on quality and not quantity. You're better off to have 1 to 2 really close friends than hundreds of superficial connections. So picking those people, making sure that you know who those people are that provide you with that sense of connection, that sense of community, and investing time in that, whether it's from a friend perspective or as a partner, with your kids, with your parents, whatever that looks like to you, and prioritizing the time as much as you can. Also, remember about quality versus quantity is it doesn't mean you need to spend hundreds of hours a week with your best friend. It means that a quick check-in for 20 minutes once a week can go a really long way. So really making sure to prioritize, because life is busy, at least some time into those relationships on a regular basis. And of course, remembering that it is okay to outgrow relationships. People grow, people change, situations change, and it's not going to be possible for you to keep that strength of relationships with everybody throughout your life, and that is okay. So recognizing when a relationship is really beneficial to you and nurturing it and spending time with it and prioritizing it and making sure that the other person feels the same way, but also recognizing when things maybe have changed or shifted and that it's okay to move in different directions. But what about internally? So what do we do about the relationship with ourselves? So I just want you to sit with that question for a minute of what is your relationship with yourself like? Do you like spending time with yourself or by yourself? Often the answer is I don't know, because we do it so infrequently that we tend to distract ourselves. We distract ourselves with tasks or to-do lists or music or books or a TV show. Whatever is around us to distract us is a very easy thing to prevent us from going inside and really reflecting on that. But the quality of the relationship you have with yourself is one that I would suggest working on, even if it feels great right now, making sure that it continues that way. Now, where to start with this? My recommendation is always to really make sure you're focusing on the health of your body and your mind. And so these are the things that I talk about all the time. So first and foremost, prioritizing sleep. Your relationship with yourself is dependent on you feeling great, and sleep is absolutely a requirement of that. Remember that sleep can be much more about the quality than the quantity. If you can get 6 hours of really great sleep as opposed to 8 hours of not so good sleep, you're much further ahead. So prioritizing sleep, making sure you're getting it every night. Obviously, there are going to be some exceptions to that, and that is okay. But if sleep is a focus for you on a regular basis, that's an excellent place to start. Secondly, really think about the food that you're using to fuel your body. You want to eat food that makes you feel great physically, mentally, emotionally, all of those things. And food is a really complex thing, the foods that we choose, foods that we crave. But you want to have food that makes you energized and happy, not food that's going to make you go through crashes and cravings all day. You actually maybe want to check in with your digestive system. Do you feel confident and comfortable and light when you eat, or do you feel bloated and uncomfortable? If the latter is the case, it might be time to reevaluate the foods that you're using to fuel yourself, because what you want to do is feel energized and excellent when you eat. But yes, that can include treats. Number 3, move every day. Walk, work out, yoga, run, swim, jog, walk the dog, whatever it looks like for you. Incorporating movement every day helps in so many ways. It's probably the best recommendation I can make to keep your body mobile and strong throughout the course of your life. So figure out what movement you like to do, where you get enjoyment, and how you can incorporate that on a regular basis. And address the stress. Stress is a non-negotiable in our lives. It's everywhere. It's all around us. So what is your approach to stress? What are the things that cause you stress? How does your body react to it? What are things that you can do preemptively to maybe make you more resilient to stress, or to not have yourself exposed to certain areas of stress in the first place? Really take a deep dive into your relationship with stress and think about ways that you can improve it. And of course, I need to talk about mindfulness, because mindfulness does 2 things. Number 1, mindfulness is going to help us address the stress. So when we practice mindfulness on a daily basis, it absolutely improves our response to stress, makes us more resilient to stress, and helps to just in general lower our stress levels. But the other thing that mindfulness is going to do is it's going to introduce you to yourself. It forces you to spend some quiet time with yourself without anybody talking to you or needing something from you. It trains you to kind of observe your thoughts, observe your emotions without getting too caught up in them. Mindfulness is a big topic, and I have a whole other resource for it that I'm going to link in this video description here, so you can go dive into that to learn specifically about mindfulness. But incorporating mindfulness every day is great to start to understand the relationship that you have with yourself and how you feel about that. I'm so curious what this makes you think about and how you are going to put some quality time and effort into the relationship that you have with yourself to better the relationships with everybody around you, to make sure that you're getting the most out of the relationships in your life. Because that is, at the end of the day, what life is all about. It's all about this experience that we have with ourselves, with the people around us, and that is what really brings us the quality of life. Please let me know if you have any comments or questions. I would love to hear some feedback from you on this. I think it's such an interesting topic. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.